Over time, I've found myself drifting backwards rather than forwards when it comes to TV. Not out of nostalgia blindness. I'm under no illusion that the past was perfect. But because, modern television feels increasingly hollow, risk-averse, sanitized, algorithm-built, and, creatively embalmed. Everything now feels engineered rather than written, market-tested rather than observed, designed for metrics instead of memory. There's this constant illusion of content abundance, but honestly, very little of it feels like it has weight, texture, or soul. Modern shows don't feel lived in, they feel assembled. Characters aren't people anymore, they're identity packets. Dialogue isn't speech, it's messaging. Conflict isn't organic, it's instructional. So instead of doom scrolling through the same sterile sludge, I've been digging into older series. Not because they're flawless, but because they're human. Messy, awkward, improper, sometimes ugly, sometimes uncomfortable, sometimes badly aged, but real. There's still a ridiculous amount of stuff I've never seen. And honestly, that's more exciting than anything currently being pumped out by modern studios. And, on the recommendation of a YouTuber, I ended up watching something I'd somehow completely missed. Something I'd always written off, something I assumed I wouldn't enjoy. And to my genuine surprise, I actually did. Welcome to the Snake Pit, where we're full of bile and venom. I'm your host, Snake Daemon, and today I'm looking at the Inbetweeners. 4 lads, no superpowers, no destinies, no chosen one nonsense, no hero arcs, no aspirational mythology, just 4 painfully average teenagers, Will, Simon, Jay, and Neil, finishing school and stumbling headfirst into adulthood with absolutely nothing to equip them for it, except hormones, insecurity, stupidity, and ego. What makes it work isn't the plot, because, half the time the plot is basically just escalation of embarrassment. It's the honesty. These aren't glamorous teenagers. They aren't cool. They aren't competent. They aren't aspirational. They're not misunderstood geniuses or secret badasses. They're socially awkward, sexually confused, emotionally immature, and honestly, deeply delusional about their own importance. And that's the point. This is masculinity without the myth, adolescence without the romance, youth without the fantasy filter. It's not about success. It's about humiliation, not growth, exposure, not confidence, desperation, not rebellion, insecurity. They don't come of age, they survive it. What genuinely surprised me is how much of it feels observational rather than performative. It doesn't feel like writers inventing teen behavior. It feels like writers remembering it. The embarrassment, the posturing, the lying, the bravado, the sexual obsession masking fear, the constant need to impress people who don't care, the rituals of masculinity that mean nothing but feel like everything. It's crude, yes, but it's not crude for shock value. It's crude because adolescence is crude. It's awkward because adolescence is awkward. It's repetitive because adolescence is repetitive. Same desires, same failures, same obsessions, same humiliations, same loops. That repetition actually becomes thematic, because that's exactly how being that age feels. You chase the same things, fail in the same ways, and convince yourself this time will be different every single time. And it never is. Season 3 stands out because it leans fully into the farce without losing the character logic. The situations escalate, but the personalities stay consistent. They don't suddenly become different people for plot convenience. They become exaggerated versions of who they already are. That's why it works. Now, it's not flawless. There is formula, there is contrivance. There are moments where the writing clearly needs the characters to be idiots for the scene to function. There are jokes that go too far into gross out for the sake of it. There are moments where you genuinely question why these people are even friends. And I get that criticism, especially watching it with someone else, because some of it is aggressively unpleasant by design. But that's also part of the honesty. They're not written to be role models. They're not written to be good people. They're not written to be admirable. They're not written to be healthy representations. They're written to be believable messes. What I actually respect about the show is that it never redeems them artificially. It doesn't moralize them. It doesn't sanitize them. It doesn't reward them. It doesn't pretend their behavior is noble or justified. It just lets them be what they are. Stupid, selfish, insecure, immature, occasionally cruel, occasionally pathetic, occasionally sympathetic, occasionally unbearable. And honestly, that's far more honest than modern, likable protagonist writing. There's also something very specifically British about it that simply doesn't translate. The class tension, the social awkwardness, the quiet cruelty, the understatement, the embarrassment culture, the way humiliation is weaponized socially, the way masculinity expresses itself through mockery rather than dominance, which is exactly why I won't be touching the American remake. Because, honestly, the US industry fundamentally doesn't understand British TV. They didn't get Life on Mars, they didn't get Red Dwarf, they didn't get Being Human, they just don't get the tone, they don't get the pacing, they don't get the social dynamics, they don't get the class structure, they don't get the humor, they don't get the embarrassment culture, they don't get the cruelty through comedy layer. They translate British shows into louder, shinier, emptier versions of themselves and, well, strip out the soul in the process. Yeah. The Inbetweeners works because it's not trying to be aspirational, it's not trying to be progressive, it's not trying to be moral, it's not trying to teach lessons, it's not trying to be comforting, it's observational, it's cruel, it's awkward, it's uncomfortable, it's cynical, it's honest. It's a snapshot of a phase of life that is genuinely unpleasant and somehow manages to make that funny without pretending it's noble. That's rare, honestly. So, yeah, it's crude, repetitive, sometimes contrived, occasionally unpleasant, and structurally formulaic. And it's also sharp, fast, well-written, brutally observational, culturally specific, and genuinely funny, which honestly puts it miles ahead of most modern television that's afraid to offend the algorithm, afraid to offend the audience, and, well, afraid to say anything real. Sometimes messy honesty beats polished emptiness. I didn't expect to like it. I didn't expect to enjoy it. I definitely didn't expect to recommend it. But I do, not because it's perfect, but because it's human. Flawed characters, flawed writing, flawed structure, flawed people, flawed humor, flawed morality, but real. And, you know, in a media landscape full of sterile perfection and artificial virtue, I'll take flawed reality every time. Thanks for dropping by the Snake Pit, where we thrive on untapped potential and lost opportunities. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell, like the video and leave your opinions in the comments, where naturally I won't read them. Until next time, stay venomous.